This, to me, is like the quietest tragedy ever. Isn't it strange how quiet everything is? And in this case, no news is probably bad news. You don't hear from families of tourists because maybe it's not tourists that are still dead. You know, silence from the locals because maybe they're gone. And then the officials don't say anything because this is possibly worse than anybody imagines. You're not going to see anybody. And it's kind of scary who these people might be, right? They might not be adults. And I think that this is a really, really horrible, horrible tragedy.
President Joe Biden, who fell asleep during meeting with the people of Maui, was caught lying during press conference. 400 students from the Bernier have enrolled in other public schools. 200 signed up for distance learning. Out of 3,000 students, 600 students are accounted for / enrolled in school. How many children died in Maui? Hundreds, thousands? No one will say. Joe Biden is going back on vacation after visiting the island. He didn't address the missing children issue. 67 Corvette is now trending on Twitter, after Joe Biden talked about losing his home due to lightning in 2004. Almost losing his 67 Corvette and his cat. Thousands are missing or deaf, and Joe Biden can relate to it all with a story about his car and cat. The president forgets the name of Maui and makes it all about himself, before falling asleep during the ceremony, honoring the Maui fire victims in Hawaii. His first words on hundreds of dead Americans were no comment. Then he went on vacation.
I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. Years ago, now 15 years ago, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. It was a sunny Sunday, and lightning struck at home on a little lake that's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my 67 Corvette, and my cat.
Biden never lost his home from a lightning strike. He had a small kitchen fire that was contained in less than 20 minutes. And the fact that he went to Hawaii with almost 1,000 people missing, over 100 dead, and no one has a home anymore, and said, I lost my home too, a lie, when there was a small kitchen fire, that was pretty disgraceful.
It is almost impossible to believe that this guy, that this old man, this Walmart greeter, and I know that we have a constitutional crisis of epic proportion, but hearing you talk about your house that, had a little fire, you almost lost your cat and your Corvette. There are children that were incinerated to ash. You vile human being. The only way you feel you're able to communicate and you have some kind of, you're so out of touch with the common man, you don't even understand how to speak to them. The only way you think you can establish commonality with them is to lie. That the same thing happened to you, no matter what the tragedy is. Your house didn't burn down. Your children weren't burned to death. How dare you get up there and speak this way? Your job is to go there and assuage them in a way that you talk to them about their loss, that you can't imagine what it's like, that you can't imagine what it's like never to find the bodies of the poor children that were sent home from schools that died alone. Alone. In fear, without their parent or a guardian, that the most abhorrent thing happened. This is an outrage, an outrage. When you hear the psychopath, the first thing out of the governor's mouth was, we're going to reclaim the land for this or for that. Who the f*** are the people we hire in government? And if there's any truth to the matter that this idiot held back the water, it's just outrageous how we behave in this country. There's no adults. An event, no matter how tragic, there should be men that are able to rise to the occasion. In 5 seconds, you should know what to do. You should understand the right thing.
We are a community that relies on family, on ohana, whether by blood or by friendship. But like many others,
You guys catch the boots out here? That's a hot ground, man.
Hello, everybody.
All right, Chris, we're going to jump ahead to the next spot, okay, guys?
During COVID, we got government assistance So at least we were able to sustain ourselves financially, even though we weren't at work. With this regime in-house, we are absolutely getting no help, nothing. Not $1 is coming to them, to us. So the only way we are able to survive are through visitors and tourism dollars. There's not one tourist on this entire beach, you guys. Not one. All of them locals. And the reason all the locals are out here are because all of us are unemployed. Because we won't get any help from the government. Not $1 is coming to us. How are we going to sustain ourselves through this next 6 to 8, 9, 10 months without not $1 coming through here? It's impossible, you guys. We can't sustain this without government help. And since we're not getting any government assistance or any government help, this is it.
This is not a short-term thing. This is not a 2 to 3 week emergency. Restoring Lahaina, getting kids back to school, getting connectivity back, getting the roads back, and then removing the debris and doing whatever the community wants next with all of that. That is a multi-year and multi-billion-dollar process, and we want to make sure the federal government is there for us.
Yesterday, they were told they could go to the FEMA tent to get food and water. They were told that they could go. I don't know who told them that. When they went to the air-conditioned enclosed tent with, did I say air-conditioned inside? Just to get food and water, the morgue operations, Hui, that's down there, which includes retired firemen who came out of retirement to come and help because they have the proper certifications to do that job, were turned away because it is a separate funding. So this is where you guys and me come in to take care of our own people, because these entities of Red Cross and FEMA, they're coming to help themselves do the job that they're here for. They're not here to help us do the job that we are trying to do for us. It's like, man, you're fend for yourself. You're part of that department, you have to take care of yourself. You're part of that department, you have to take care of yourself. You're part of FEMA, we're going to take care of ourselves because we're here to help you. That's what...
It just keeps getting worse here on Maui. FEMA is requiring people whose homes burned to the ground to produce documents that they no longer have because their home burned to the ground. They are denying assistance, and these maggots will find any excuse to avoid helping people.